Hey everyone, ready to jump into something really cool?
I'm in.
Today's deep dive, we're diving into the metaverse.
All right.
But, with a twist,
Okay.
we're checking out this platform, Chaarmi Worlds.
Right,
And they're all about making it super easy to create your own little corner of the metaverse.
yeah, kind of like,
Like WordPress for 3D worlds, you know?
exactly, like, remember those clunky old website builders?
Oh, tell me about it.
They want to be the WordPress of metaverse creation.
Ambitious. So we dug into a bunch of their stuff, presentations, features, even their wish list for the future.
A lot.
It is. So let's break it down together, all right?
Sounds good to me.
First things first, what exactly is Chaarmi Worlds?
So, you know how right now you can go to a metaverse someone else built like Roblox or Decentraland? Chaarmi Worlds is saying, what if you could build a metaverse? Your own metaverse.
Without, needing a tech company behind you.
Exactly. No army of coders, no crazy budget.
Okay, I'm listening.
They're calling themselves that WordPress of metaverse creation on purpose.
Yeah, that's a big comparison. WordPress made it, stupid simple for anyone to build a website, even if you couldn't code at all.
Right.
But we're talking about 3D worlds here. Is that level of simplicity even possible?
That is the question, isn't it?
It is.
From what you sent over, they're going for a super user-friendly interface, drag and drop kind of stuff.
Like a design app almost.
Exactly. And they're using a SaaS model.
So it's more like subscribing to a service. Definitely less intimidating for the average person.
But hold on, they keep saying Metaverse Galaxy creation. What does that even mean?
Good point. It's a mouthful. Basically, think of it like this.
Okay.
A metaverse galaxy, in their words, it's like your own little virtual world. Like, you know how a website is kind of like your online home?
Yeah.
This is that, but in 3D. Like, you step into it.
So instead of just looking at a flat screen.
Right. You're in the environment and you made it.
And the rules of reality don't necessarily apply.
Exactly. You get to design the rules of your own little online island.
Okay, I'm starting to get it. But what could you actually do with one of these metaverse galaxies?
They say you set up your server, you design your world, and you invite your people. That's it.
So it's like
3 steps. That's what they claim.
and all this works right in your web browser. They say so. No need to install anything.
Wow, that's pretty wild. You're saying I could build a virtual escape room for my team at work,
Exactly.
and I wouldn't need to learn how to code first.
That's their whole thing. Empowering anyone to tap into the metaverse.
Interesting. All right, I'm intrigued, but let's talk about how this would actually work in the real world.
Sure.
Because their presentation mentions some pretty big things. Events, real estate, even education.
Right.
Are those just buzzwords? Or is there some real substance to those claims? It's not just about tossing around these buzzwords, right? They actually give you examples of how this could work.
Yeah, they give specifics.
They talk about those virtual training simulations for employees
Yeah.
instead of just, reading a boring manual.
You could step into a virtual version of your workplace and actually learn by doing.
Exactly. And it's not just about replicating the stuff you could already do in person.
Oh, so they're thinking bigger.
They're talking about making totally new experiences. They specifically mention immersive shopping.
Okay.
Way beyond just clicking through a website.
So how would that even work?
Imagine walking into a store virtually.
Okay.
You can try on clothes, check out products in 3D, go to a virtual launch event.
All without leaving your couch?
Exactly.
Really? So you could, build a whole virtual store?
That's the idea. Actually, that reminds me, they were talking about AI characters in their roadmap.
Hold on. Back up a sec. Did you just say AI characters? That's straight out of sci-fi. Right. You could have these AI characters running around in your world.
What would that even look like? In education, for example.
They actually talked about AI characters being like virtual tutors. So a student could have this AI that guides them through personalized lessons.
So instead of just watching a video.
It's interactive, adapts to how you learn best.
Well, that's kind of cool.
Right. They also mentioned having them just in the metaverse experiences too.
So not just for education, but for anything you build.
Which I think could lead to some really interesting, weird, dynamic experiences.
Okay, now that's the kind of stuff that gets me excited about the future. But let's get a little technical for a second.
Sure.
Their materials mention Unity 3D. That's a big deal for gaming, right?
Yeah, but it's not just for games anymore. Unity is known for making these crazy realistic graphics, really immersive, and Chaarmi Worlds is using that.
Ah, so they're not skimping on how things look.
Nope, they want the graphics to be top-notch, because that's a big part of how immersive it feels, right?
Totally. So we're not talking about those blocky avatars from the early internet days.
No way. This is like next level.
And speaking of avatars, they're partnering with Ready Player Me.
Right. That's another sign they're taking this seriously.
Okay, refresh my memory. What's Ready Player Me again?
So it's this platform where you can make your own avatar.
Uh-huh.
And you can use it on a bunch of different metaverse platforms.
Oh, that's cool. So you're not stuck with some, like, generic character.
Right. You bring your own digital self to the party.
So you can still have your own style, your own look. Okay, but with all this fancy tech, AI, custom avatars, Unity graphics, what kind of computer do I need to even run this thing?
That's the question, right? Like, is this just for tech people?
Right.
They seem to have thought about that because besides that simplified web interface,
Which means you can access it on most computers, right?
they're also talking about VR compatibility, specifically with Oculus Quest.
So they're trying to make it work for everyone.
That's the impression I got. Like, you can use your VR headset if you want to go all in.
But you can also just chill and use your laptop if that's your thing.
Exactly. They want to make this accessible no matter your budget, what kind of tech you have.
I like that because it feels like so much of the metaverse talk is for those early adopters, you know, the people with tons of money to blow on gadgets.
For sure.
It seems like everyone and their grandma is talking about the metaverse these days.
Right. It's the big buzzword, for sure.
But Chaarmi Worlds, it feels like they're doing something different.
Definitely.
It's not just another, like, walled-off space for gaming or virtual meetings.
They want to shake things up.
They're talking about giving anyone the tools to create, which is huge.
Right. It's like power to the people, but for the metaverse.
Totally. And it's not just about the tech, right? They have this whole roadmap for the future, and it's ambitious.
Oh, yeah. They're thinking big picture.
So what stood out to you in their plans? What are they trying to do with all this?
What's fascinating to me is how they're blurring that line between, like, the real world and the digital world.
I was just thinking that it's not just about escaping into the metaverse. It's about, like, bringing those worlds closer.
Exactly. Like, they talk about education, right? Students could go to virtual classrooms, but not just any classrooms that transport you somewhere else.
Like, instead of just reading about ancient Rome.
You're there, or learning about space, but you're actually walking on the moon.
Wow, talk about immersive learning.
That's the idea, right? And not just build it for yourself, but share it with others.
Exactly. It's that social interactive element that makes it a metaverse.
Which brings me to another thing they emphasize, that community aspect.
Right. It's not just about building your own little world and ignoring everyone else.
They want people to connect, share ideas, help each other out, like a real community.
Which is cool, but let's be real for a sec. Are there any, like, downsides? Red flags we should be aware of?
Honestly, with any new technology, there are always going to be challenges.
Right.
Like, will people actually use this thing? Will it be like a fad that fades away, or is this really the future?
That's the million-dollar question.
And then there's that whole safety issue we talked about before.
Yeah. Keeping people safe in any online space is a huge deal, let alone a whole metaverse.
Exactly. And that's something they're going to have to constantly work on because, like, the potential for misuse is definitely there, right?
Anytime you have a powerful tool, it can be used for good or for bad. That's just the reality.
Exactly. So it's up to everyone, the creators, the users, to make sure it's used responsibly.
That's a good point. Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one thing you want our listeners to walk away thinking about?
You know, for me, it's about potential. Chaarmi Worlds, whether they succeed or not, they represent something really interesting. The potential for anyone to shape the metaverse.
It's not just about big tech companies calling all the shots anymore.
Right. It's a reminder that, we're not just passive users of technology. We can be creators too.
That's an awesome message. So to our listeners out there, think about this. What would you create in your own metaverse galaxy? Because with Chaarmi Worlds, that possibility is getting closer and closer to reality. And that's something worth getting excited about. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and we'll see you next time.